Hello and welcome to our episode of Fintech Focus TV with me, Toby, and today I am absolutely delighted to have in the studio Per and Stephan from Digitec. Guys, how are you? Lovely to meet you.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming in. So I've been hearing a little bit about the story, and it's a great story. There's not too many companies who we've had on this show. I think I had one celebrating their 50th anniversary, but this is a 40-year plus business within this space, of which there are remarkably few, so you guys are doing something right. Right? So I'm really looking forward to understanding that, seeing a little bit about what's happening in the marketplace at the moment. We've got some good conversations to have through the course of it. But before we get into everything, tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell us about the company, the business yourselves, and your backgrounds.
All right. My role is being the CEO of the company. I took over 3 years ago, and Digitec is now almost 44 years old. And it's a huge responsibility to, keep up the for another 40 years basically, and which is quite a challenge. And especially as a software business, we obviously didn't start as a software business because the internet was just about to become a thing back in the days, and so initially we started selling hardware, and then at some point started developing the first software. And the company.
So is that what it was? It was originally a hardware business when it
exactly,
first.
Yeah.
And that was when it was out in Hamburg.
We were selling hardware of the bigger companies, Ataris and other stuff that is not really a thing today anymore. So, we had some smart people. They learned software development, and that's how it all started. And some 24 years ago, the company transformed into more or less what it is today. So from the core focus that we have as a company, and in terms of software development, and also the platform that we are best known for, D3, that started then almost 24 years ago now, and has ever since been developed and is sort of a living software platform. Yeah.
So I think this is really interesting, isn't it? When you hear about businesses that have been around for that for that sort of time, sometimes I think people feel that there's there can be a lack of innovation. It's a business that's been going. If it hasn't broke, don't fix it, etc., etc. But from what I understand, this is a business that's consistently iterating and changing, as you say, right from a hardware company to a software company to having new products come into it. Tell us a little bit about the sort of evolution of the business and how you've stayed current in that process.
Well, yeah, it's a constant evolution. Not everything is sort of a big change. There are a lot of improvements that we make to the product, and a lot of the clients have been with us for 20 plus years, since the early days. You've got users that have evolving requirements, and we try and stay on top of that and evolve with the environment. And more recently, that's led to us offering our products on a software as a service basis. So it's important to understand the client requirement and how you can keep relevant, and how you can create value for your clients. And I think as a business, we've managed to do that through all the different phases.
Yeah, an incredible journey, as you say. And I think some of the numbers which I'm reading about, is it 50% of the business, the FX banking community are utilising the product? That's
it's probably even more if you consider that if you take in all our services, not just the pricing engine, but also our data services, then it's probably rather like 80% or so, and which is massive.
It's not bad market share, is it?
Yeah. Well, the FX swap pricing space is really a niche in the market, and so we've been in this market for years, many years, decades, and that very successful. And we have a very loyal client base, which is fantastic because that allows you to build upon. And a very good spot to be in.
And tell us a little bit about you mentioned the product earlier on. Tell us a little bit about the problems that you're solving in the marketplace. What are you guys? What area of the business are you solving for these banks?
So our core product, D3, our FX swaps and forward pricing engine is a system that allows our clients to take market data in, create an FX forward curve and distribute that to downstream systems, either for internal valuation purposes or for distribution to clients, electronic trading, various different use cases within financial markets. That's our core offering.
And with regards to the banks themselves, look, you mentioned there about upwards, somewhere between 50 and 80% of the market using you. Tell us why they use you. Why are they picking a business out there that's been, obviously there's the established part of it. You've been around for a long time. You're trusted. People know you in the space. But I think, particularly in recent years, we've seen people look at sort of a multitude of different providers coming into the marketplace. We've seen lots of different Frankenstein's monsters being built of various different software. We've seen a lot of buy and build at the same sort of stage. I think legacy software has probably come under a little bit of pressure as people haven't necessarily evolved. Tell us why banks are trusting you and utilising you at the moment.
Yeah, there's essentially like two options at the moment. So you either build it yourself or you come to us. When it comes to our core business, there's hardly any competition. And our biggest competitor, again, is probably in-house developments or Microsoft Excel at some point. And especially with the development of recent years where technology more and more becomes bigger and bigger, the development speed up. It's really tough, I think, for a bank to develop their own software in the same pace. And for us as a company, that's our nature. That's what we do every day. That's why we exist as a company. So for us, a very positive development. So the faster the development of the market in general, the better for us, because it's our purpose, our existence, why we're there. And I think, therefore, a very obvious choice for many banks to go to us, and next to that, a very large client pool like we have it, and like sitting at the center of the market, allows us to build in all the needs that we hear from the market, from our clients, from partners, and we're doing this for more than 20 years, so it's obvious, very obvious to me at least, that we're doing something right here. And so still there are some banks out there, especially the largest banks, who want to do it themselves, simply because they have the money, they have the resources, and they want to keep their secrets. But everybody else is really, on our client list.
It's funny, isn't it, where you talk about that sort of thing? Because I think you're right. There's been this sort of long-term issue, which I think has stilted the evolution of the market. I think there are so many financial institutions that have sort of almost given themselves this self-inflicted wound by not adopting technology quick enough because of that fear of wanting to do it themselves by being private. But I think over the last few years, and maybe even COVID charged, we've seen this, and certainly cloud accelerated. Yep. We've seen this sort of ability for people to iterate, and to communicate with each other and try and find this best in class way of utilising software and not necessarily having to use their internal teams. And there'll always be a buy or build or buy and build and a sort of debate that comes through, and it's always raged. I think there's a session which I'm going to at the end of this month, which is sort of themed solely on buy and build, buy versus build as the whole ethos. But I definitely think there's more and more acceptance that this is a route further forward, right?
Absolutely, yeah. So I think it's inevitable that at some point software will be delivered by specialized companies like ourselves. Mm-hmm. There's no point in building it yourself. Only if there's no other option than to build it yourself, because there's nothing out there. But at some point, I think it will be covered by a technology firm, a software delivery firm or so, and now with recent developments of the cloud, the whole game is even more speeding up now. So delivery becomes more and more important here. That you can deliver a new version of software like on a daily or monthly basis or so, and right now that's not possible. We are not even close to that, especially for the whole market. But it has has already improved over the last years, and now we're getting there where it becomes very relevant to stay ahead of the game, and therefore, like software updates or updating the entire infrastructure on a regular basis is absolutely crucial. Yeah.
I've been speaking to a lot of people recently, and VCs and investors and other people like that, who are all talking about this sort of generational opportunity we've got with so many advances in technology, be it AI or cloud or whatever else in between. But one of the sort of words that people keep coming back to, and I think will do for however many years, is data, and how it's being used across the whole area of the industry. FX is no different. Tell me how people are utilising data in the FX world.
Well, it's an integral part when you think about pricing, creating a curve, and being able to distribute that internally or externally. Then data is the ingredient, and it's a relatively complex problem in the forward space because you may have many different data points. So if you are talking about pricing a forward curve and you've got many currency pairs, then very easily you're talking about 20,000 or so data points that you need to update in lower latency terms, and you need to distribute that information, and so it's a very complex problem that we are solving at scale, and our clients are able to add their own flavor, reflect their position, their view of their market. So every client creates their very own curve and view of the market that they can use to price and service their clients. And of course, with the evolution of electronic trading and the market, higher velocity, things are moving a little bit faster. There's more data intensity that needs to feed into the system. We've also had to upgrade our platform to be able to facilitate that. But data is a very important ingredient of what we do. Yeah.
I think it's so important. I was over in the US a couple of months ago, and we had a panel which was talking about if data is the new oil, how ready is your engine for 2024? And I think it was a really interesting discussion, a really interesting debate. And I think the big piece for me is everyone knows data is an important part of it, right? And people are keen to utilise it as a competitive advantage. But I think the people who have actually understood it and utilised it to get advantage, to take data and to turn it into actionable insights, which allows people to make better decisions, particularly, as you say, in complex issues with increasing data, electronification of the markets, and innovation happening at even more of a speed. It creates this sort of perfect storm where data is at the centre of it, and if people get their data strategy right, they've got incredible opportunities to increase both productivity and gain efficiency at the same sort of time, which I think is the buzzwords that everyone's looking at in boardrooms across the UK at the moment, or across the world. People are looking to be more efficient and more productive because of increasing margins, etc. Yeah. And that comes back, I guess, to the whole concept of technological advances. We've spoken about cloud, we've spoken about various different elements, but it is this perfect storm right now, and it's incredibly exciting because it just creates this huge opportunity for people to innovate, even in 44-year-old businesses, to do this sort of stuff, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So our data product, the SDF, that we've developed in partnership with 360T, is a fairly young product. So I think we went first live in 2019, which is only like now 4 or 5 years ago, and ever since the SDF really become very relevant, and is nowadays the most dominant market data product in the market for FX swaps, and that has been a very fantastic development. But it also provided a new view for us as a company on the market itself and how important actually data is, and I think we are now at the doorstep to the next level, which is, from my perspective, software as a service, where we will have a new dimension of data that right now is not really accessible to us because most of our clients still run their systems on-prem, so it's a black box to us. But once everything sits on software as a service, we will have a perfect view on what's going on in the market. We will be in a position to help our clients to really get the most out of what they're doing and help them to, run the engine in the best way they can do it, and that will probably have a huge impact for our clients in a very positive way, because we have a lot of expertise in running these systems, and we combine the know-how and ideas of so many banks and clients, and can then share it with everybody, and that will be huge for us, I think, as a company and for the entire market. So
it's exciting times, and we've got this sort of beautiful, like we said, this opportunity in a fast-moving, fast-changing technological sense, and that's only going to expand, I think, with advances in all sorts of areas over the next couple of years. It's not slowing down, is it? But alongside that, you see sort of markets evolution, and we've seen huge volatility over the last couple of years, and with volatility comes opportunity at the same sort of stages. You're in a world where probably that's impacted as much as anywhere else in FX swaps. Tell us a little bit about how that's evolving and what we're seeing in the FX swap space at the moment.
So yes, we've seen great volatility. Interest rates have started to move with the inflationary environment, and that's happened in an increasingly automated market. So actually, a lot of participants have been looking for robust technology for better pricing, and one of the ways we've been able to service that additional demand has been through software as a service and the cloud. That's made our offering much more accessible and has helped the overall market, because all of a sudden people that previously would have maybe not been able to access this kind of complex pricing technology are now able to utilize a combination of data and systems to be able to deliver services to their clients in an environment where FX swaps and interest rates have been in a particular interest as a product in financial markets. A lot more client activity, hedging requirements, as people have been looking to, as we say in financial markets, hedge their risks, and so there was a requirement for banks to provide those services, which in turn has benefited us being able to service that.
And you see that continuing over the course of the next 2024 and beyond. Obviously, we've seen such rapid change, and as you say, the interest rates have been. I don't think there's an economist in the world that can tell you exactly what's going to happen over the course of the next thing. Well, what does that mean for the industry? I mean, like I said at the start, this is, I guess volatility creates opportunity. I'm imagining you guys are seeing a lot of opportunity out there at the moment at the same time, right?
Yeah. Volatility risk in general is very positive for us as a company. We help our clients with risk management. So that's one of the core functionalities, basically, or the values of our platform, and also of data, of course. So data reflects exactly that, what's going on in the market, and our software allows clients to analyze and come up with pricing for their clients in hopefully a very risk managed way. Volatility and everything around it is basically rocket fuel for our business. Yeah. So the last years have been fantastic from a business development perspective, and I think no one can really predict the future, I mean, with every central bank meeting, I think people get a little disappointed right now when the leaders say no, it takes another 9 months or so until we finally see movement.
I think we've got a good curve. I touch wood when I'm saying it, but the general signs and consensus are that we're moving in an interesting direction, and I think we've all been through various different moves in markets over the last 20 odd years or so. But this feels like we're in a interesting spot moving further forward at the moment. Yeah. And so tell me what that means for the business. Where are we at the moment? What's exciting over 2024? What can we be looking forward from beyond from that? What you mentioned the next 40 years. What does the next 40 years look like for the business?
Well, I mean,
we'll go 40 months maybe.
right now for us, it's really the transformation to software as a service, which is not only having a huge impact on the software and the software development, but rather on the entire company. We have to think differently because we've been delivering our software on-prem for more than 20 years, and that's within our DNA. And now that has to change, which is quite a big thing for everyone at Digitec, just to develop the mindset around software as a service and how we can become the dominant player in that space as well. And that's really the focus for the next 2-3 years, I think, because we have a huge existing client base. We need to migrate them, so that will be a big project for us. I think for the next 10 years, automation will be focused. The market is still not really efficient. Many things are still happening manually, on the phone, offline, and that's, I don't know how that could last for so long, but it needs a change, and we're working on that. So with the recent release of D3OMS, which is an order management system that allows our clients to automatically trade on these new FX swap venues, is a first step. It's not only on us, it involves other technology vendors, the banks, the entire market to participate as well. But I think this time, and there have been movements in the past that in the end failed with the idea of a further automation. I think this time we'll make it as a market, and but it will take another 12, 24 months until everybody is really in a position to trade fully automatically and even the largest volumes, and then it's probably still just for the biggest currencies, not for rather exotic currency pairs where you have less volumes, but at least for the biggest part of the market, we are in a position now, yeah.
And Stephan, you're looking into the future, you're excited. Tell us a little bit about what we can expect to see. What's your predictions for the next 24 months or so?
We'll see FX swap volumes continue to grow, partly through the accessibility of technology. It's something that almost feeds on itself, where better data leads to better pricing, and with better pricing and the accessibility of technology, we can ensure that there's broad participation as this market automates. So that's, I think, one of the key things, where maybe previously not all elements of the technology were as accessible as they are now, with new business models like software as a service, are actually sort of, that's driving some of the changes that we're seeing. It's about the workflow automation, being able to automate a much greater part of the value chain in FX swaps, and some parts, as we've just talked about, are still relatively manual, so there are going to be great benefits from automating that part of the value chain, and then of course distributing the pricing downstream to clients. And the market environment is probably going to continue for a little while longer, and so the requirement is there to hedge your risks and trade FX swaps.
Fantastic. I want to finish just on something which you mentioned at the start, where you talked about the sort of taking the legacy further forward of a 40-year-old business. There's an enormous amount of change of what you've just mentioned as well. Yeah. And I love the bit there of saying, look, we're going to go in there and keep the same sort of domination into a slightly different sector. Your company's iterated, as you said, 24 years ago to move from one area to the next, and this feels like it's the next big change in the whole process. But someone who carries that responsibility of taking that legacy and moving it further forward, tell us what's exciting about that sort of thing, because it's it would be quite easy just to sort of sit there and maintain the status quo, wouldn't it? But I love the fact that you're sort of there and you're saying, right, to move forward, we've got to innovate and turn this machine who's got 80% of the marketplace. It'd be very easy just to sort of stay there in that sort of scenario. I'm really interested about that sort of entrepreneurial mindset that's come in there to say, right, we can shake this up and be better and be bolder and be bigger again.
Change is always a challenge, especially for the people involved in the business, and every business in the end of the day is a people business, so if no one is following you will fail. So it's definitely a risk, taking larger decisions, and especially kicking off a transformation process, but I think standing still is never an option. So and for us, we have a pretty good view on the market, so it's not really like, it doesn't really feel like taking a huge risk. Yeah. It rather feels natural and the right way moving forward. And we have very smart, talented people, and it's because of their hard work that we are in a position where we are actually able to change. Mm-hmm. And I think for smaller companies like ourselves, it's easier to change, to adapt to what's going on in the market, and in the end of the day, for me at least, that's really the fun part about managing a company. making these decisions and moving forward, taking risks, but also to see how a company can succeed. And we've been doing that for 3 years. We've had many changes in these years. First, we started introducing English as our first language at Digitec, for example, which was a massive change for German companies. So, and then we opened our first office outside Germany, or even outside Hamburg, in London, and last year in Singapore. And now with the transformation of the whole business model, there's a lot going on. We're adopting new technologies, new programming languages. We introduce many new things at Digitec, from an academy for the people to learn, to further distribute the knowledge of our internal experts across the whole company. And also it's just a challenge to grow. Scaling can be a real challenge, and that's what we're seeing right now. I think we are now like 65 people at Digitec, and 3 years ago that we were like 45 or so.
Wow.
So that's also going in a right direction when it comes to growth as a company in general. But it's very important to make sure that really everybody is following you and the idea that we have. And so yeah.
I just want to rewind a second to that English as the first language piece, and that's out in Hamburg as well as over here, is it?
Yeah.
What was the thought process behind that?
Well, talent. So, I mean, even in Germany, there are many people where you struggle when you try to find someone speaking German on a level where you say it's. It would allow you to take a profession as a software developer, for example, and then we have financial markets and software development where the dominant language is English anyway, and with the idea of opening an office in London to be closer to the markets and our clients, there was a necessary decision, and then we offered extensive training to everybody. And
so it was language training as much as everything else?
Yeah. And I mean, you probably can imagine that many people at Digitec were worried about that.
Yeah.
And I don't know whether I can do that. And then the last time I spoke English is 20 years ago or so, and it went well, absolutely well. And people love it because we offered them things to learn, even though it's just a language, and some even took the opportunity and learned other languages as well. So we still have that program running to allow people learn new languages if they like, or new skills when it comes to programming, running a business, or just learning new techniques. And that's something that we've really intensified over the last years, and which is very, very rewarding for everybody. It's rewarding for the people, but also for the company, because the better your people are trained, the better the company will do.
I mean, this is an interesting part, because we were talking beforehand about the sort of average tenure of engineers within the financial services space, and you guys were both talking about the sort of longevity you've had. You mentioned someone who's just retired after 35 years in the business, compared to an industry average of 18 months for a software engineer. That's probably popping up the other side of it, pretty nicely. But I love the fact that this is I'm a big believer that businesses, no matter whether it's software or consulting or wherever it is, everyone's a people business, right? And if you get the right people and look after them and give them opportunities to upskill and learn and develop, then you have that longevity, and that longevity allows growth to come into it. So to hear a business that's gone through this journey over the last couple of years, where, as I said, where it could have sat there and stayed still and enjoyed its position, etc., it's really inspiring to see where it's coming through. So look, if there are people there who are looking to hear more and want to get involved in the company, or want to find out more, or want to work with you, what's the best way for them to reach out? How do they get in touch with the pair of you?
Directly via LinkedIn or our website, digitec.de. Happy to answer questions, and looking forward to hearing from all of you.
Yeah.
It's been great having you in. Thanks for coming over and making the trip. It's been thoroughly enjoyable. I've learnt loads, actually, and I find it really, really inspiring. It's been great talking to you today, and I really appreciate the conversation.
Fantastic.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you.
And thank you all for watching. We will see you soon on another episode of Fintech Focus TV. Thanks a lot.